welcome back to AR77. Today I wanted to make quite a short video really on air pistol shooting on a budget, within reason. I'm kind of coming at it from the point of view of somebody who's interested specifically in replicas. So when you get into this sort of a hobby, what you quickly find is it's quite addictive, it's quite you buy something that you go, I'd be happy with that. If I only had one, I'd be happy with that one. And then somebody releases another one, or you see another pistol online and you think, oh, that's a great one, I'd really like that. And for a lot of us, our wish list far exceeds our financial ability. So what can you do? Can you still enjoy shooting replica air pistols without forking out hundreds and hundreds of pounds? I would say yes, you can, definitely, and still get a fantastic amount of enjoyment from it. So you might kind of think, well, this is the sort of thing I'm looking for. This is a Springfield XDM. This is a replica of quite a modern pistol, and this is what I would call top tier. I would call this a top tier BB replica, because it has, it's metal where the actual pistol is metal, it's plastic where the actual pistol is plastic, it's fully operational, it blows back like that, you've got all your bells and whistles, all your takedown lever works, you can field strip this pistol, it feels and looks just like the real thing, you've got everything works, your safeties and things like that. You've got a full-size metal dropout magazine there that looks very authentic, and that's a lovely pistol, but that's quite an expensive pistol at the same time. You pay for all those things, and what the danger is that you think, well, if I don't have all of those things, I won't enjoy shooting the pistol, or I won't enjoy owning the replica if it doesn't do everything. I would say that's not necessarily the case. I think, yes, you do get an enjoyment from the fact that you can field strip these pistols. You take enjoyment from the fact that everything works, and you look at it and you know that everything works. Just like in a car, it's nice that you've got, I hate it when you see the buttons in a car where there's supposed to be a button, but you don't have one there because you don't have the top specification. It's a similar thing with these. You want to make sure that everything does everything, but that comes at a price, and I think you could be enjoying yourself while you're waiting to get something like this, and you don't know if you're going to enjoy or continue to shoot anyway. So if you just want something that is going to be an entry into replica pistol shooting, I've got a couple of suggestions for you. So first of all, I've got a couple of stipulations. What I would say is I'm avoiding the cheapest of pistols. There are some around which are all plastic, and they're great, but I feel that may diminish your enjoyment. It may not, and if that's the case, there's some great kind of full plastic Smith & Wesson M&Ps I think you can get, a couple of others, but for me, I like a little bit of weight because I want it to feel like it's something like the weight of the actual pistol itself. So I'm going to start with a favourite to the channel, my classic Defender. And I'm going to get this out of the way quickly because I think if you've seen any of my other videos, you know how this works. This is a good starter pistol because it's less than £100. I think quite a bit less than £100. But it does everything you would want. It looks like a pretty accurate version of a 1911 Defender-sized sort of 1911. It doesn't have the cutout ejection port like the Springfield Armory did. The hammer doesn't work. None of these bits work. It does have a safety, but that's not accurate to what the 1911 safety would look like. The 1911 safety is kind of here, and you'd have a grip safety there, and of course this safety here. But it's full metal. This is made of kind of I think two pieces of metal pushed together, and it feels very satisfying to hold. You'll also get, obviously because this is a fixed slide, there's no blowback, but you'll get a lot of CO2 for your money from this pistol. You'll get through close to maybe 80, 100 rounds, I would say, before needing to change your CO2, possibly even more over shorter distances if you're just shooting cans in the back garden. It also shoots very powerfully as well. It shoots around 400 feet per second, something like that. But it is a very simple gun. It's a very simple pistol. CO2 goes in there, BBs go in the other side, and you tighten your CO2 with that. Now that is one of the things that you will find on a cheaper pistol, even on some of the more expensive ones actually, surprisingly, but these tabs to help tighten your CO2. Now that means that you're never going to lose an Allen key or a hexagonal spanner, or whatever you want to call it. It's all sort of self-contained, so that's quite neat. That's a good thing, and it does feel and look like a real pistol. And if you're keen on shooting replicas, that's a big deal to you. The weight is there and the looks are there, and you can get hours of fun from shooting that. That's why this appears in so many of my videos, because it's such a fun pistol to shoot. I still enjoy shooting this, even though I've got pistols with sort of twice as much. So that is one recommendation I would make. I do think that you can go, oh, I'm dropping things here. I think you can go a bit further than that for not a lot more money. So, for instance, something like this. This is my replica of a Sig Sauer P2022. Now this is the unbranded version. This is made by KWC, the manufacturer. They make these in Taiwan. And I think you used to be able to get the Sig Sauer branded version. You possibly still can if there's some stock around. I think Gletscher possibly do a version of this also. Now this is, I think, a step up from the Defender personally, because you have the full metal slide here, which is nice. It is cut out there, although it's not a moving slide. It's a separate piece, but it's not a moving slide. But it is cut out. You can see it's separate pieces there. This has a polymer or plastic kind of lower frame, which is true to the actual sort of real world firearm. It does have more moving parts, so the safety is kind of there. I believe that's where it would be on the actual pistol. You've got a hammer here, which doesn't really serve any purpose, but it is a moving part. And the beauty of this one is you have your mag release and a full-size dropout, heavyweight metal magazine, and that'll hold your CO2 in the bottom there and BBs in the chute there. So yeah, you're going to need a separate Allen key to get into there, which it will come with. But again, this is possibly, you know, if you look around, you can possibly get these for even less than the Defender. And it's a bigger pistol. It feels really weighty in your hand. It shoots really well. It's accurate enough, and it's really quite powerful as well. This, I think, this also shoots around the sort of high 380s to 400 feet per second. And it's got some really nice white dot sight at the front there. Easy sight acquisition, and you know, when you feel it in your hand, you really feel like you've got a decent pistol in your hands. I think that's a really lovely gun. I mean, I like Sig Sauers anyway, but I think the shape of that is really attractive as well. So I would highly, highly, highly recommend one of these. You can get them for under £100 in the UK, and you'll have loads of fun with that, and you get the pleasure of, you know, taking that mag out, getting another mag, sticking it in, and you're off again. Really good. There's no blowback on that, but once you start shooting, you know, it doesn't really matter. Once you start shooting, it doesn't matter. It's a nice to have. It's a nice to have. But honestly, you can really enjoy shooting even without that. And especially when you go, actually, I'm getting more CO2 for my money. I mean, if you combine that with something like a relatively cheap, kind of like I've got this Swiss Arms kind of holster here. If you keep it in something like that, let's just do that up there. You've got holster there, You've got somewhere to keep your Allen key there, so it's not going to disappear. So you've dealt with that issue about losing your Allen key. You've got a space there for a spare magazine. So if you get both these magazines loaded up, I think they take about 18 rounds each. And that's 36 rounds before reloading. Also, if you're doing that, you're using the CO2 in there and the CO2 in here. So those CO2 cartridges are going to last obviously twice as long. And while you're shooting from one mag, the CO2 in the other mag is getting a chance to just warm up a little bit as well and get back to room temperature, improving your feet per second if you're bothered about that sort of thing. So yeah, relatively cheap holster there from Swiss Arms. I think lots of different people make similar ones, but that's what I keep mine in. I don't keep it, if I'm out shooting, I don't keep that on my belt because frankly this is all too heavy really for me to keep on my belt with just that. I don't have like a gun belt or something that would bear the weight of it, so I just keep some of my pistols in holsters just so that they don't get covered in dust and don't get scratched and things. But yeah, that's a pretty good including the extra mag and the holster, you're probably at or over £100, but you've got a decent setup there. One to think about, the Sig Sauer P2022. There are other similar pistols. I think there's a Taurus 24/7, I think it's called. You can also get the Smith & Wesson M&P that I mentioned before with the metal slide. And there's a few others, but none of these pistols, or as far as I'm aware, none of them kind of go higher than £100 from what I've seen, or you can certainly get them below £100. Having said that, my final recommendation is this. This is the Glock 19 by Umarex, and in my opinion, apart from the plastic pistols that are totally plastic, in my opinion, this is the best kind of budget or entry-level BB shooting pistol. I say BB shooting because if you go for pellet pistols will tend to be a little bit more expensive anyway. So I kind of stick to BB pistols. Also, there's far more range when you're coming to looking at replicas. There are far more replica BB guns than there are replica pellet pistols. But this is excellent as well. Again, metal slide, just like the real thing. Polymer frame, polymer lower there, just like the real thing. This has, it's not cut out there, so you might think, well, that's not as good as the Sig. That's a point of preference, I guess. You've got the lovely white dot sight there, that sort of block sight. That looks like a half window. That's an awesome addition. It really makes shooting really straightforward there. The takedown lever doesn't work because you can't take this pistol down, but the trigger safety does work. No other safety on this pistol, just like the Glock. You get all this nice, lovely sort of branding and bits to look at there, so you feel a little bit of a sense of that ownership of something that's realistic. Your magazine isn't even a full-size magazine like the Sig, so if that's a sticking point for you, you probably want something more like the Sig. But that's a tidy, well-built magazine, and the benefit of these is that they may be cheaper to replace. I'm not sure, I've not looked at that, but they may be cheaper to replace. So you could get 2 or 3 of those perhaps, if you're interested in doing so. The other good thing about this pistol, of course, is that obviously your CO2 goes in here. Your CO2 goes in here, and you tighten it there. But you've got this kind of Allen key here to tighten it with, which just stays in that kind of in your rear bit of the grip there. So everything's self-contained. It feels really well made. It feels really solid. Obviously everything's fixed, so there's no real movement there. Maybe a bit of internal movement, but it feels really good. It's a really nice size. And although you might prefer the full-size drop-out magazine that you get with the Sig, I don't know, I feel that this is made perhaps better. It's a really high standard, that, and I think for somebody starting out, I think you can get these for right up there at around £100. And for me, in terms of it looking and feeling accurate, again, there's a good weight to this. It feels the real deal. It's got all the right branding on it, etched nicely as well into the slide where it should be. Officially licensed product of Glock. Everything kind of looks the part. Nicely recessed barrel as well at the end there. Yeah, so good weight, good accuracy. Shoots powerfully as well. It's about 400 feet per second as well, similar to the other two, or perhaps better than the Sig, but around the sort of same as the Defender. I would recommend this. Out of those three pistols, they're the three pistols in my collection that I think I would recommend for somebody getting into the hobby. If you want to feel like you've got a replica, if you want to enjoy shooting, you want good value for money regarding your CO2, you want a gun that's relatively powerful and relatively accurate, and isn't going to break the bank to purchase in the first place, I would go for one of these three. Let's just line them up. What have we got here? We've got the Defender, we've got the Glock, and we've got the Sig. All really lovely pistols. You'll have a load of fun with any one of these, but my money would probably be on the Glock. Okay, I think that's it. Thanks for subscribing. Please feel free to comment, share the content, get in touch. But for now, all the best, take care, stay safe, bye.